Hello. This video is meant to teach newly licensed drivers how to operate a manual transmission car. A manual car has to be driven differently than an automatic car, and more concentration is required by the driver. Today I will introduce you to the parts of a manual transmission car and explain how to operate one in a stepwise fashion. First, there are a few cautionary items we must discuss. You must practice driving a manual car in an empty parking lot so you can perfect the technique before driving on a real road. When driving a manual car, the car may stall, which shuts the engine off, making the car come to a very jerky stop. Please do not freak out, as this is normal driving mistake and is easily fixable. Now, get into the driver's seat, and we'll review all the parts you'll need to know. In a manual car, there are 3 pedals instead of 2. On the left of the brake, there is a clutch pedal, which allows you to switch gears while you press it down. Clutch, brake, gas. The depressed clutch allows the gears to move. The clutch can be compared to a lock that allows or does not allow the gears to move. The gear stick is the most noticeable difference in a manual car, and the driver moves it to shift gears. In most manual cars, there will be 5 or 6 drive gears along with a reverse gear. You can also put the car in neutral by moving the gear stick in the middle position between gears like it is right now. We will now introduce you to the method of shifting gears. In order to shift, you need to depress the clutch pedal all the way on the left, like so, till it is completely depressed. Now, you can freely move the gear stick. Right now, this is neutral. I will shift into first gear, as shown by the indication on the gear knob. We can now move into second gear through neutral. Now we are in second. To go to third, you go up, over, and up, or it's a nice diagonal movement. Fourth, straight down, and fifth, another diagonal movement upwards. Now remember, the entire time I just did that, my foot is still depressing the clutch. Now, to go to reverse, all we do is shift back from 5. Now we will put the car in neutral once again, and we can now release the clutch. Step 1, we are going to start the car. In a manual car, you must press the clutch in to turn on the ignition. Make sure the clutch is pressed as far down as possible and turn the key. Let's put the car in neutral, like it is now, so that we can continue talking. When the car is in neutral, you do not have to keep the clutch depressed. Step 3. In order to start moving from a complete stop, put the car into first gear by depressing the clutch completely with your right foot on the brake. Then move the gear stick with your right hand from neutral to first gear. The next maneuver is essential to driving a car. I like to call it the seesaw because you release the clutch pedal as you press on the gas. This seesaw motion takes some practice, and if you do it correctly, the car will begin to move. I'm now going to demonstrate that seesaw movement. When you shift gears, the clutch will be depressed as you move the shift knob. To start moving again, you're going to need to slowly press on the gas pedal while releasing the clutch. This takes practice, and it can vary from car to car. So I'm depressed on the clutch. I slowly release it as I start pushing the gas. This movement takes practice, and you may find it helpful to sit in your car and practice this before you start doing it on the real road. Step 4, we will first demonstrate a smooth start. Now we will show you what is likely to happen the first time you try this. This stalling of the car occurs when you release the clutch too fast. There is a balance to be achieved between the release of the clutch and the depression of the gas pedal. On the other hand, if you release the clutch too slowly while continuing to press down on the gas, you will hear the engine become very loud. The stalling shuts off the car, and now we will restart the car. By depressing the clutch, turning the ignition, the car is in neutral, so we can take our foot off the clutch. Step 5. Once you successfully start moving the car in first gear, we can think about shifting into second. Well, when do you shift? On the dashboard, you will see a display with a tachometer that shows the RPMs of the engine. You ideally want to be shifting to the next highest gear when the RPMs hit 3,000 to 4,000. Notice the red line between 6 and 7. You do never want to take the engine up that high. It is very bad for the car. Let's now try to shift into second gear. Right now we were only pressing on the gas pedal. To shift into second, we must take our right foot off the gas, then depress the clutch completely, after which we can move the gear stick to second. Then the seesaw move comes back. Slowly release the clutch while pushing back down on the gas. Beautiful. Now you're in second gear. Let's keep moving up through the gears. Remember, the best time to shift is when you reach 3,000 to 4,000 RPMs, or when you hear the engine getting loud. Now we're in third. Let's do it again to move to fourth. And then to fifth. Step 9. Now we need to learn how to downshift, that is, to slow the car down. The method is very similar, but we will be using the brake instead of the gas pedal. Let's let go of the gas and slowly depress the brake with our right foot. Now, keeping the brake depressed, depress the clutch completely and move the gear stick from 5th to 4th. Slowly release the clutch while continuing to press the brake. Step 10. Continue to downshift through 3rd, 2nd, and then 1st. 3rd, we're still on the brake. We're now in 2nd, still on the brake. And we are slowing down. And then we're gonna go into 1st and cruise very slowly. We are now in 2nd gear, and to come to a complete stop in a manual car, make sure you press the brake and the clutch and move the gear stick into 1st gear like Ryan did. Now, we are at a complete stop, and he is pressing in the brake and the clutch all the way. If your left foot gets tired, you can always put the car into neutral gear so you can release the clutch and save your leg muscles. Step 11. Let's learn how to move the car in reverse, like you will have to while backing out of a parking spot. In this car, the reverse is the gear below 5th gear. While at a stop, we can continue pressing the brake and clutch and move the gear stick into reverse, like so. Then, let go of the brake and do the seesaw movement to release the clutch while pressing the gas. Don't press the gas too hard or you will fly backwards. Step 12. Now we are in reverse and want to move forward again. Depress the clutch and move the gear into 1st gear. and use your newfound knowledge to move the car forward. A quick quiz. What pedals is Ryan now pushing? Only the gas pedal. Hope you got that right. You have now learned the basic steps to driving a manual car. Now we will show you a few tricks that seasoned drivers use. The sequential downshifting that we showed earlier is not mandatory. You're allowed to downshift from 5th to 2nd, 4th to 2nd, 5th to 1st, whatever it may be. 5th to 2nd demonstrated right there. Neutral is a great gear because you don't have to keep your left foot on the clutch while at a complete stop if you're in neutral. You can also throw it in neutral when you're approaching a stop sign. And just use the brake to stop. Also, if you have to slam on the brakes to hit a red light, simply move the gear stick to neutral and you can release the clutch and only worry about braking. We will now practice driving in traffic. Pay attention to the shifting of gears and depressing of the clutch, brake, and gas as he drives.